What is going on, everyone? My name is Jared and I am from TechWorks. So today, a long overdue video about the Pixel 2 XL and the S9 Plus. For those of you who've watched this channel before, I absolutely loved the Pixel 2 XL. This was probably my most used device between 2017 and the beginning of this year. It was consistent. It was always getting updates. It had everything that I really wanted. My big thing is I love having a great camera in my pocket. And fast forward a little bit and we have the Galaxy S9 Plus, which is the latest and greatest from Team Samsung, and right now, one of the only and best phones of 2018. Now, we are on the horizon for the OnePlus 6, the Pixel 3, next year's iPhone, or, all of that is coming up in 2018, so the year is still young in terms of what is to come. But right now, if you're going out and buying a new phone, these are certainly some of the best phones right now out in the Android landscape, and certainly my favorite. So this video, I'm really going to talk about some benefits to each, some differences of each, and really what one I would recommend right now and why, right now being mid-May 2018. So for those of you who don't know, Pixel XL2 came out last year around October. It was Google's second iteration. It is the Snapdragon 821. This is the white and black Panda. It does not have wireless charging. A single shooter up in the top, USB-C, fast charge. It still has dual front-facing speakers, no headphone jack, and it ran pure vanilla Android. I have other videos out talking about why, the Pixel XL2 was boring, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to, get everyone's take on it. But right now, if you do have a Pixel 2 XL, you can run what I'm running, which is Android P. So I'm going to call it Popsicle because I don't know, I got a vibe. But you can run the latest and greatest Android. It was introduced and released for beta in Google's I/O 2018. Anyway, so this is Android P on the Pixel 2 XL. Now, almost 8 months later or so, how has the Pixel 2 aged? Well, I'd say it's aged pretty well. It definitely was not the maybe prettiest flagship of 2017. They definitely improved upon what they did in 2016 with the original Pixels, which were very plain, even more plain than these. But these came in a bunch of different colors. They reduced the glass back. The other glass was about down to here. It incorporated the fingerprint sensor, and this is still a metal design with this soft touch coating. And I've said in my other videos, this coating reminds me vaguely of what OnePlus did on their OnePlus One with their silky white. Little G at the bottom, and you have this nice accented power button for the Panda Edition Pixel. Relatively thin device, no expandable memory. This does has IP67 water resistance. So that's pretty much the specs. And for any of you out there who read the news throughout the course of the year, the Pixel XL2 had a problem, or various accounts of the problem, of a bad screen. Now, it wasn't bad as like Jello effect, the screen was upside down bad, but it was a blue tinted screen. Basically, if you held the screen at different viewing angles, you could see a blue tinge. Wasn't the most saturated, wasn't the most poppy. It just, people didn't like it. I, myself, didn't think it was awful, but obviously when compared to Samsung, whether it be the S8 or right now the S9 right here, you can obviously see the difference in clarity and just overall how good it is, and that's why people like Apple buy their screens from Samsung. They are just too good to not use. Other than that, the Pixel really has outperformed itself compared to a lot of 2017 flagships, even still ranking very high on DxOMark, only to be beaten out by this guy and the P20 Pro. But I still would say, just and this might just be preference, that the pictures taken from this camera truly are still some of the best I've taken. And it's a combination of hardware and software, mostly software on Google's side because this is a single shooter, and it still does the depth effect, the bokeh effect. It does all of that with just one lens. Now, the Pixel 2 XL is a phone from last year, so it's not running the latest Snapdragon. All right, so I made a huge mistake in the beginning of the video. 821 was the Pixel 1. This is the Pixel 2. This is the Snapdragon 835. The new one's 845. My mistake. Anyway, the Snapdragon 845, which is in the Samsung S9 Plus and anticipated to be in pretty much every flagship this year, is much more energy efficient. That's why you're seeing a little bit smaller batteries. Devices are getting a little thinner, yet you're getting great performance out of your battery. Anyway, it is last year's Snapdragon, but Android P now on this device is doing a very good job at battery conservation with a whole bunch of new technology which they've introduced. And if you're interested in that stuff, go head over, like search on YouTube I/O Keynote or I/O highlights, because there was some really amazing things Google is doing with software and hardware. But check it out. Anyway, fast forward to this year, you have the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. It was their first Galaxy, the Galaxy S line, to have dual cameras. So you see on the back you have a normal and a telephoto. You have the fingerprint sensor on the back and your heart rate, all that stuff. It is a glass designed phone, so you do have wireless charging. You still have the headphone jack at the bottom, USB-C, and you have a sort of dual firing speaker system. You get high end coming out of the top, and you get your low end out of the bottom. Now, I will say that even though the Pixel has dual front-facing speakers, the Samsung is just a little bit louder. Now, not louder and clear, but just louder in general. These are pointing right at you, which is great, and this one kinda is, kinda isn't. I'll set the case aside. Anyway, so which one is really worth the money? Well, both of these phones are very fast. And honestly, I showed some people when I've been using these pretty much side by side for the past couple days. And both of them, even being almost a year old, the Pixel 2 XL holds up in a lot of ways. So if you look at it side by side, no, this is not as bezel-less as the S9 Plus, but that's your trade-off by having your dual front-facing speakers. The screen on the Samsung is just absolutely gorgeous, and it is 100% better than the Pixel 2. It's a lot better than a lot of phones. Samsung is amazing with their screens. The way Android works and how Samsung handles Android has been a problem for a long time. They don't have the latest updates. They always get the updates late. This, even though it is the newest phone, one of the newest phones out, this is still running Android 8.0, which everyone is thinking, well, Oreo is certainly the newest, but actually, if you had the Pixel stock, it'd be running 8.1, and a lot of other devices are also running Android 8.1. Not that it was a huge update, but it was certainly a needed update. But Samsung still hasn't pushed that out, and I really don't anticipate this guy getting Android P sometime next year, when Android P will drop right around the time of the Pixel 3. So there's one thing to take note of. Another thing is, I've called Samsung phones a jack of all trades and a master of none for a couple of reasons. You get a whole lot of features. You get your headphone jack, your quick charge, your side menu, your Android Pay, or now Google Pay, plus your Samsung Pay, plus your iris and facial scanning, all your quick toggles. If you have SmartThings, you get that drop down. Bixby, whether you love it or hate it, the Bixby button, all that stuff you get. And I guess I wouldn't really say the best thing about the Samsung is the display and expandable memory. And a lot of other phones have great displays and expandable memory. But what would deserve your money now? Well, a lot of people are going to say the Samsung S9 because it's the newest. And I would 100% agree with you. It definitely has the latest processor. It has 6 gigabytes of RAM, which is more than enough to do anything. It's got great specs. You know, it is a Samsung phone, love it or hate it, but they are very good. You get your wireless charging. You do get a very nice design. And well, let's take a minute and compare design languages here. So Samsung, since the S7, have been doing a double glass design, which is a very attractive looking one. I would certainly pick this styling. You know, the glass wraps over the edge, the front screen wraps to the side. Everything just blends seamlessly together. You have all your text and stuff underneath the glass, and they actually got the fingerprint sensor almost right by putting it under the lens. If you don't have a case, you'll probably still end up touching your lens, but if you do, like the one that I have sitting next to me, it'll section it off and you'll find your fingerprint sensor straight away. Now you got the Pixel, which is certainly better than the previous year, but you still get this soft touch texture, a metal designed phone with this glass piece on top. It just doesn't look as premium, and these phones are certainly still in the same price range. $800-900 all day, every day for either of these phones, you know, depending on where you get them, carrier deals and things like that. But unlocked, straight from Google, straight from Samsung, you're looking at a lot of money. This one is certainly going to take the drops better. I know people that have been using it without a case, and they say that actually this phone holds up pretty well with the coating. You might get some nicks, not really a lot of staining, which was a lot of people's worries about this white material, whether or not this was going to stain from, say, blue jeans or whatever you set it on. So the glass is, you know, good and bad. So good because you get your wireless charging. It is certainly a very pretty design. Bad in the sense of it's certainly not going to be as protective of the device. One good drop, you could shatter this back. Now, the backs aren't very hard to replace. I've replaced a couple, but you know, for the average everyday user, you crack the back, you start to lose your water resistance, and you know, that's no fun. This one can take a few spills, and you know, maybe outside a little cosmetic damage, you'll be good to go. Really, the camera is a toss-up, right? So generally, I prefer the Pixel's photos. Whether I'm shooting bokeh shots, portrait shots, nature, whatever, I tend to just like the Pixel better. And I don't know if it's just the secret sauce in their AI or their camera or their software, but they just come out great. But this camera is more versatile. And I'll say that for a couple of reasons. You have live focus, which will allow you to adjust the amount of blur you get from your photo. And I'm sure you've seen a dozen videos on it, but you take the photo with live focus, you drag the slider left and right, and you can either make it really blurry, not so blurry. This one, you get what you get if it's good or bad. This is better at taking the portraits, but again, if it's really blurry, that's going to be the shot you end up with. You either have no blur or all the blur. This, you can adjust if you do like just a little differentiation between your subject and your background. It's there. You also have the 2x optical zoom, which here is just your digital zoom. So if you're going to take something and, you know, super far away, you already have your normal 2x zoom, which is not going to degrade the photo as much as using digital zoom. So there's that. As far as taking detail and great shots, they're both going to take great shots. If you're just a point and shoot type of person, you go outside, you want to take a picture of your car, nature, birds, animals, whatever, you're not going to be disappointed in either of these. This is more versatile in more situations, and if you know where you're shooting with this, you can basically be a professional photographer with a smartphone camera. Now, I haven't tried like the P20 Pro that has the 40 megapixel sensor, which is supposedly phenomenal, but these two right now, I personally would say I would pick this over this camera, but for more situations, this is definitely the better choice. So really, it comes down to a couple things. You can also get rid of this Samsung-like skin. So everyone didn't like TouchWiz. It's now called Samsung Experience. Whatever you want to call it, it's still the skin over on top of Android. You can install Nova Launcher, the thousands of other launchers out there on the Play Store, and basically make it look like the Pixel. Even, I believe, Nova got updated to have the same sort of features as you have with the new Pixel launcher. Your round icons, whatever. See, so I personally don't mind the skin on here. I like how it makes everything uniformed. I'm kind of OCD like that, having all my icons look the same, and having a couple of these, like the My Chevy app and whatever this game is, not be round, skeeve me out after a while because I'm like, why aren't you round? And how Samsung handles that is they put a little box around the icon rather than just having, like, say, YouTube Studio, for example. This one's just like the gear. That one has a little box, makes everything blend in nice. This phone is certainly newer. I'm not going to say that you're not going to get as much longevity out of the Pixel, but this is newer, and if you're concerned about, I guess, the length in which you're going to have the phone, this one may be the better choice. You got wireless charging. You got all the bells and whistles that you could use. So even though, as much as I praise the Pixel for being the go-to Android aficionado device, the go-to Android experience, right now, May 14th, 2018, I can't say that I would pick it over the Samsung. And I've actually struggled with this for the past few days. So I've been using these at the same time. This has been my primary. This has been my secondary. And I would say more often than not, I'm picking up the Samsung. And I really don't know why. There's not a lot of reason to it. If I'm taking a photo, I pick up this every time. Obviously, I'm answering my text messages and things like that on this. But a lot of the features that I used to really love about the Pixel, the caller ID, the quick messages, and I do like Android P, and I will say that's half the reason why I brought the Pixel back into rotation, and I wanted to try it. And it hasn't been that buggy. If you do have one, go out and try it. It's pretty cool. But I can't seem to not pick this device up, and I think it's a lot to do with the screen. I think it's a lot to do with, I actually like the Samsung Health app a lot, and I do use it quite a bit. To track my runs, to do my food. I actually like how in-depth the app is with the sleep data and all of this stuff. I do like that, and it interests me. So maybe that is a reason, but I just keep picking it back up. And, you know, it's kind of a love-hate thing. I hate to put this Pixel down. I hate to put it away, but I'm really looking forward to the Pixel 3, and I'm sure when the Pixel 3, and I'm actually pretty much looking forward to the OnePlus 6 because I know I can get Android P on that. So I got to take my love of Android and my love of trying out the latest and greatest to really try to be as unbiased as possible. And with that said, if you're buying a phone today and these are your two choices, buy the Samsung. And I know I've talked a lot about Samsung the past couple days, or the past couple of videos, kind of been blowing up their spot as much as I was with the Apple iPhone 10, because I love that phone too. But coming down from a hardware, from a tech person perspective, from what the phone can do, the Samsung S9 can absolutely be more beneficial to you in more situations. Now, if you're an Android purist, you hate skins, you want the absolute bleeding edge updates, then get the Pixel. You know, it's the same people who picked the Nexus will probably pick the Pixel. It's not as open as the Nexus was, but it is certainly the next best thing. Or wait till the OnePlus 6, which is almost just as open as the Pixel is. But I wouldn't justify someone spending the $800-900 or whatever the price is for whatever model. There's the two models of the Pixel. I can't justify that when either you're paying the same, maybe less, maybe $50-60 more for the Samsung, when you just have the option of dropping it on a wireless charger, and I do use that every night. You have the option for, I use Bluetooth headphones almost exclusively, but say they're dead. You have the whole problem of if they're charged. You plug in, I always carry a spare set of wired ones in my bag as like an emergency set of headphones. You just plug it in, you're still in business. You can go to the gym, still listen to your tunes. You gotta have the dongle. It's little things like that that make the difference to me at the end of the day. And just to show you, so the Pixel is certainly a thin phone, especially without a case. And you gotta realize I have a Whitestone dome glass, so that's gonna take up for a little bit of width here. You're not looking at a very different thickness, right? And the phones are certainly generally about the same size, but you're getting a much nicer display, you're getting wireless charging, you're getting all the features. No, you might not get the latest updates, but you certainly have a lot of options. And just goes to show you that even though this phone is new and current, it still has a headphone jack, and I'm not against getting rid of it. I am going to embrace the future as much as possible, but there is still certainly a desire for it, and there is certainly room. I know a lot of YouTubers were talking about this new updated phone that from Vivo that they're trying to really maximize screen to body, and it's still got a headphone jack. So it still could be there. People can still put it in. And I'm really, as much as I don't want to say it, the next Pixel will probably have a notch in the display. And I'm okay with it on the iPhone. That's going to be the future for a bit until screen tech really gets revolutionized. But that's just what it's going to be, so be prepared for that. Anyway, got a little off topic. If you're buying a phone today, I couldn't recommend more the Samsung S9 Plus, unless you're the absolute Android aficionado that needs bleeding edge and vanilla. You won't settle for anything but vanilla. Then obviously there is no competition. You're going to get the Pixel. So anyway, my name is Jared Ian from TechWorks. This video was long overdue, and I could not just let it go to the wayside. So here it is, my choice between the S9 Plus and the Pixel 2 XL. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.